Well, what's up, friends? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put out there what I've heard. You know, from time to time, I have little birdies that are talking in my ear. Usually I have a ringing in my ear, which is always there too. So sometimes I misinterpret things. What I had heard through the grapevine is Jerry Jones wants Sean Payton. The problem would be is Will McClay doesn't want to give up power. He likes being head of scouting and bringing the personnel along with Stephen Jones. They don't always agree on personnel moves. Jerry Jones wanted to keep, for example, Dez Bryant. Stephen Jones, after the meltdown, I'm trying to remember which game it was. The meltdown game. What game was it? But Dez was literally like pouting about the football, and then when they finally threw it to him, it ended up bouncing off his face mask or so. I can't remember exactly what it was. But from that point on, it was Stephen Jones wanted to move on from Dez Bryant. Jerry was the one who wanted to keep him, but Stephen Jones got his way. So you've got now a battle between Jerry wanting Sean Payton and not sure about giving up power to Sean Payton, who'll want to do his own cooking. That's the first thing. Second thing is this. This isn't like you quit your job. You know, you're working at McDonald's and you decide next week I'm going to go work at Wendy's. That's not how the way this worked. He was under contract for the next 3 years. And I believe that unless they let him out of his contract, they will have his rights. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But that would be my understanding, at least, because it would just not smell right if a coach could just say, I got a better offer here and I'm just going to leave you hanging. I mean, that would be almost like a lot of you guys wanted us to go back and get Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes signed a contract with the Giants and said, no, I'm going to retire. Well, people said, well, why don't we bring him back? Because the Giants owned his rights. So if he came back, they would have the right of first refusal. If they let him out of his contract and said you can go elsewhere, then that would be fine. But if you're New Orleans, you know, where you play the Cowboys on a regular, why would you want to not get something for Sean Payton? You think about John Gruden going to Tampa. Tampa had to give up 2 number ones. Now, I am sure that if Jerry Jones went to New Orleans and said, we'll give you 2 number ones, we'll give you 2 number ones for Sean Payton, they would be more than happy to release his rights and let him go. I mean, who wouldn't? You know, when you look at New Orleans right now, they have a great defense, but at the point of, is Jameis Winston really the guy that you want for your quarterback? And at some point, what happens with coaching is sometimes you need a change of scenery. You get stale. It's not a matter of a coach not knowing how to coach. Take Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn wasn't an idiot. You know, even though people said, well, his defense is stink. How's he a defensive guy? Because he's head coach now. But it's not that guys don't know how to coach. Sometimes what happens is you get stale at what you're doing. And typically 5 years is the cutoff point. If you haven't been successful in 5 years, you've had enough time to instill your philosophy, to get your players, to get their attention and win. And if you haven't done it in that much time, chances are you won't. Now, here on the flip side, from stability-wise, Mike McCarthy, say what you will, the Dallas Cowboys hadn't been in the playoffs since 2018. Jason Garrett's last year, terrible. And taking over from somebody else with their problems and having the amount of injuries that we had last year, it was abysmal. But you went from being an abysmal defense, an abysmal team that was 6-10 and won twice as many games. And yet, we act like he was coach like Mike Patricia with the Lions. The players like Mike McCarthy and his smashing watermelons and Charlie fuck around doesn't work around here and stuff like that. The players like that. They like the coordinators. And you really haven't had enough time to give him the opportunity to get it together. You're going to be trying things at any new job that may not work and you have to adjust. Mike Nolan, perfect example. He wasn't the right one. You turned around and you got the right one there. You took Dak Prescott and his numbers are identical to Pat Mahomes except for two things. Pat Mahomes had 400 more yards and 3 more interceptions. Everything else between the two of them is exactly the same. So when we say, oh, Andy Reid is a genius, Pat Mahomes is, the next GOAT, their numbers are the same. How is that? I know they're going, but I know he doesn't pass the smell test or the eye test. And Pat Mahomes is going to the championship game. Why is he going to the championship game? If they have the same numbers, what is the difference? But be that as it may, my man Law dared me to post that and say, because people are saying, just imagine if Dak Prescott had Andy Reid. Well, if he had Andy Reid and the numbers are identical, are we saying that Dak has more talent than Pat Mahomes and he'd be able to overachieve what Pat Mahomes is doing? Is that what we're trying to say? Because maybe that is the case. I don't know. Could that be the case? But if the numbers are the same and you say, if only Andy Reid could work with him, he'd be something. Well, his numbers are the same as Pat Mahomes. Interesting. Anyway, Sean Payton, I almost will be assured, will take a year off. He'll probably be in the booth. He'll get the camera time and all that. Catch his breath. We know that he has a house still in Dallas. We know that he's still close with the Jones family. And then you give Mike McCarthy one more year, one more chance to get it together, knowing that the guy that you've always wanted and coveted might be interested in it. And that's how I think this whole thing will play out. You don't want to turn around and give up a couple of high draft picks that will hamstring you to get the coach. I won't say, I can't say that he might not be worth maybe a game or two, but in retrospect, Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton, record-wise, are the same guys. They both have Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and they've only won one Super Bowl each. And here's the thing with Cowboy fans. We always want something other than what we have. And a lot of times, when we get what we thought we wanted, we turn around and we want something else. And that, my friends, is where I think we are now. Damn, they just build it everywhere. Good God, what are they building over here? Okay. They're building like crazy. All right, I'm going to catch you later, y'all. Peace.